Hi, this is Joseph. It is Wednesday, June 29th. Just wanted to make a quick update and remind those who are interested in my trade copier service how long they could expect it to take for me to actually pass the evaluation process. So, one of the things that I offer for my high-end package of my trade copier service is a consultation with my subscribers so that I can assist them in finding the right funded company to use or funding company to use to get your funded account. Now, if you've looked into them, you're probably aware that they have different parameters or different guidelines that they want you to trade within. Some of them have like a max 4% drawdown and maybe max for the day, and then maybe max 5 or 6% overall on the total amount of the account. Other people have, or other companies might have a little larger size drawdown, and people like that. They like the flexibility. So it really depends on the type of trader that you are, if you're actually going to be doing the trading yourself. But if you're considering using my trade copier to help you pass your evaluation process and then use my trade copier to help you earn profits in your live funded account after you've passed the evaluation, if you are considering that option and you're going to use my trade copier, you need to know perhaps how I trade, right? Like what is my style? Am I reckless? Do I trade within the parameters? So I want you to know that I have many, first of all, just realize that I have many accounts at many of the different funding companies out there. So I'm aware of the different parameters. And what I've done is taken the most conservative parameters, and those are the guidelines that I personally trade and abide by anyway. Like I'm constantly thinking about it. So let's say, for example, if the most conservative maximum daily drawdown is 4%, well, for me personally, I'm going to be using a lot size and a trading methodology, and I'll explain in just a moment, that won't allow me to really exceed 3, maybe 3.5% on the high side. If it hits 3% and I'm down 3% for the day, I'll stop trading. I've been trading for 22 years, so I know how to adjust my trading strategy, taking into consideration the size of the lot that I'm using, the lot size that I'm using, and then also the number of trades and the opportunities. Every time I get into a trade, I calculate what my potential profit is and then figure out where my stop loss is. Now, as a result of trading for 22 years, I use specific strategies to calculate where my take profit is. And let me explain. So you might think about, one trader might see, let's say, a bullish engulfing candle and a breakout or a 618, something like that. They might use the Fibonacci tool, and then they'll use the Fibonacci extension levels as their targets. That's one method that some people might use. Some people may say, they might take the entire range of consolidation and then sort of turn it on its side and measure the distance, and that would be their target. There's all kinds of strategies and methodologies behind why somebody would take or use a specific profit target. And then other strategies are just simply to figure out major levels or zones of support and resistance, and they'll use that as a target. None of those methods are always going to be 100% accurate, and some are more accurate than others. And over the course of 22 years, I've learned which ones are accurate and which ones are more reliable. And I'm also using, some of you may already know this if you watch some of the videos on my YouTube channel, I use point and figure to calculate a lot of my take profit levels, even with Forex. So I won't get into the details. A lot of people say, well, how do you use point and figure to day trade, and how do you use point and figure to trade Forex? You can, and point and figure is a very old method or methodology of calculating just how far price is likely to go based on the range and the size and the structure of accumulation and distribution. So I'll leave it at that. Now, that's not the only means that I use to calculate my targets, but very often point and figure will be one of the most accurate. Like by far, every methodology that I've ever used to try to calculate take profit levels, point and figure has always dominated. It took me many, many years to perfect my ability to use point and figure to find my trades and my targets. So that's one thing that I'm using. And then I'm also using key levels of support and resistance as my targets. Now, on days like today, you can see this is a 5-minute chart of the US 30, and things have just been going sideways all day long. And I would suspect that people are probably scalping here. This, we could argue that this is not smart money trading here. Like this doesn't make any sense for anybody with a considerable size trading account or a lot of money to move is going to jump in and out of the markets in a really tight, relatively tight range of consolidation like this. So I have been watching the price action since the market opened, the US market opened, but it really hasn't given me any signals at all. You don't want to use a trade copier service that fires off trades left and right all day long and they're scalping because eventually they're going to give back more than they earn. And I think all of you, or many of you who have used different services, I get these reports all the time. People want to talk to me before they use my service, and they tell me every single service that they used in the past. Just the other day, I talked to somebody, and he told me that he used 9 signal services in the past, and none of them have worked. And then he decided to give my company, me, another try at it to see if I could actually deliver the results that he's been looking for. So again, I've been doing this for 22 years, and that by itself doesn't mean I'm a good trader. But what means I'm a better trader is that I'm constantly measuring myself against my previous performance and always looking to improve. I never stop working and studying on my trading style, my trading methodologies. I'm constantly learning, constantly rereading the things that worked for me in the past 22 years. And I never let go of the basics and the fundamentals. So that's the thing that you want to be aware of, is that I'm not going to be jumping in and out, ignoring things like stop loss placement. That's another critical component or parameter that a lot of the funding companies, not all of them, but many of them, they require you to have a stop loss entered at the same time that you execute the buy or sell order. So that's something to consider. And I have applied that to my regular trading methodology. I never get into a trade and hit the buy or sell order unless I have the stop loss entered. My stop losses are also very, very contained and relatively small. Again, what you use may not be what I would use, but again, I've used these methodologies for 22 years and I know they work and they keep us in a good trade. And I'm not using exceedingly large stop loss, especially for the US 30. It's just not necessary. So please be aware that, again, if you're going to use a service or if you're looking for a signal service, I stick to and acknowledge even the most conservative parameters that the funding companies require that you trade by and abide by. It's not likely that I'm going to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row of losing trades. That doesn't happen. There's no reason for that to happen. If something's wrong, in other words, and I highlight this right here to give you a point of reference. Many traders will continue, even if they take the first trade and it doesn't work, or the first trade is a winner and it's a small winner, and then it pulls back and they think it's going to be, some kind of a bullish bounce if they're trading off of bullish engulfing candles, things like that. They'll jump back in and then maybe they'll lose on this one. And then they'll do it again down here and then they'll lose when it pulls back. And then they'll miss this opportunity and they won't trade that, which could have maybe earned back their loss, and then comes back down. And then they try it here, but it doesn't go too far and they didn't take their profits quick enough. And then it comes back down and stops them out. I mean, we've all been there. We've all played that game, but that's an amateur mistake. It doesn't have to happen if you learn how to correctly trade the markets. So that's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of companies out there that offer the same service that I do, but they're very inexperienced and they will execute lots of trades when you use their service right at the open. On days like this, I can see that it's likely to be days like this, and I'm very, very, very patient. I would rather end the day with 0 trades and no losses and no wins because there was no signal according to my trading system, and then wait for tomorrow when we experience a big breakout and I can earn 100, 200, 400, 700 points on the US 30. That's how I do it. And that's probably what you want. That's going to get you to pass your evaluation phase a lot faster. May not happen today. That's the other thing I want to bring to your attention, is that there are a lot of YouTube videos out there. I see them. And these guys say that they passed their funding challenge in one trade or in one day. And that is very, very, very misleading. Number one, it doesn't work like that all the time. You could get lucky and you could get into the right trade at the right time, have a very limited amount of experience, and just happen to use excessive lot sizing, and it'll be a winner, and you could get, you could pass your whole 10% target, for example. It is possible, or 6%, whatever company you're using. But that's not likely. And on days like this, if you started today trying that approach, you're probably going to get stopped out and maybe even wipe out the account if you keep hitting it over and over and over and over again. Like, this is not the ideal conditions. And you need somebody to trade for you that recognizes that. So again, I can pass a funding challenge within 2, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. It doesn't usually take that long. But again, I can't promise a specific date that I'm going to hit that evaluation target for you. It always varies, and it's all due to the market activity. Is the market going to give me an opportunity to make a 400-point trade? Or am I, left with just scalping? And scalping can be pretty dangerous on days like this. And I would suspect that if you're still looking for assistance in using a trade copier service like mine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know how hard trading is. It takes it takes a lot of time to master this business and to master yourself and to develop a trading system that you can trust. So that's what you want if you're going to use a trade copier. And I just want to share some of my ideas. I'm really passionate about this business, and I'm also passionate about helping people pass their evaluation process. And I don't like that a lot of people are, putting out a lot of misleading information and videos out there that say, watch this video, I passed it in one day, and then use my service. It doesn't always work like that. It is possible. I believe it was in May, I earned 1,100 points on the US 30, and that could have passed the evaluation process for a lot of people, depending on the lot sizing that you're using. So on that day, yes, it could happen, but that doesn't happen all the time. And we're certainly not seeing a day like that day where I earned 1,100 points, but we will get them. We do get them because the markets provide them. You just got to be patient. In the meantime, take the right setups. Take a piece of it. It's kind of like chopping down a tree sometimes. It's going to take one good positioned chop and you just keep going at it and wailing at it until it comes down. And it will come down. You will pass your evaluation process and within the time frame that they specify. That's the other thing you might want to consider. Again, if you are looking for a funding company, take into consideration how long they give you to actually hit the evaluation phase one or phase two, whatever. Some of them just have one phase. So that makes it even easier. But if you have any questions about companies that we recommend, let me know. You can send us an email and I'd be more than happy to, share with you and the links to the companies that I use, that I have found that are really good. I also use and still have my accounts, my funding accounts with the companies that I started off with that weren't all that great. I mean, the parameters are decent and they're reliable companies, but some of the other companies do offer easier parameters. So you want to take all of that into consideration. And then another factor is how soon do you want to get paid? Some of you don't need to get paid right away, and some people need to get paid right away and they want to withdraw their profits. So keep those things in mind when you're considering using a trade copier service to help you pass your evaluation process and trade your live account. But I do both. I'll help you pass your evaluation process and trade your live account when you get it. All you got to do is use my trade copier, connect the account that you purchased from the funding company to my trade copier, and you'll be able to copy all of my trades. Thanks for watching.